Let me tell you something real today. When a man truly feels something for you, it doesn't disappear just because he walked away. Feelings don't die quietly. They sit, they wrestle, they haunt. And that's why sometimes, long after the silence, he comes back, not to play games, not to waste time, but to confess what he should have said the first time. See, men process emotions differently. A man often leaves not because he doesn't care, but because he doesn't know how to care correctly yet. He goes quiet, he pulls back, he convinces himself that distance will make the feeling go away. But instead, distance makes the truth louder. If he contacts you again, understand this: it didn't happen overnight. That confession was built in moments. Moments when he compared everyone else to you and they fell short. Moments when your absence made him realize your value. Moments when he finally understood that peace doesn't come from pride, it comes from honesty. But here's the part you must never forget. His confession does not automatically earn him access to you again. Feelings are words, commitment is action, consistency is proof. A man can miss you and still not be ready for you. He can love you and still not have the maturity to protect your heart. So if he comes back confessing, don't rush, don't melt, don't forget the lessons the silence taught you. Listen carefully, not just to what he says, but to what he's willing to do differently. Because real growth shows up as changed behavior, not emotional speeches. Sometimes we misunderstand why men pull away or stay silent when it comes to feelings. We think that if a man truly loves someone, he will express it immediately, every day, in ways we can see. But that's not always how it works. Men often process emotions differently than women, and their feelings sometimes only become clear when there is distance, when the comfort of being around someone is replaced with the silence of their absence. You see, when everything is easy and predictable, a man might take your presence for granted. He sees you, he enjoys your company, but he doesn't fully confront the depth of what you mean to him. He is surrounded by the reassurance of your attention, your availability, your patience, and that can make it easy for him to avoid the difficult questions. Do I really want this? Am I ready? How do I truly feel? Comfort can lull a person into ignoring the urgency of truth because there is no immediate consequence. He has your presence, and that soft security can mask uncertainty or fear. Distance, on the other hand, is like a mirror. When he is away from you, when he is faced with the reality that you are not in his life at that moment, feelings that were unclear suddenly become vivid. Absence forces reflection. He begins to notice the little things he misses, the way your laughter fills a room, the way your opinion matters more than anyone else's, the way your absence leaves a hollow space in the life he has constructed. The distractions that once covered his feelings are gone. Without the comfort of your constant presence, he is confronted by the truth he avoided. He values you deeply. He starts to realize that the love or affection he felt all along is not superficial or fleeting. It is central to who he is, to his happiness, and to the life he wants to live. Sometimes this realization is painful because it comes after mistakes, after moments of silence or misunderstanding, and after the consequences of walking away. A man may look back and understand that he let fear, pride, or immaturity control his actions when he should have been honest. Distance forces him to ask hard questions. Did he act out of selfishness? Did he hide behind excuses rather than confronting what he truly wanted? Did he take the person he cared for as a guarantee rather than appreciating the rarity and value of their presence? In those quiet, lonely moments, feelings become undeniable, and the heart that once hesitated is now impossible to ignore. This is why, if a man contacts you after a period of absence, it is often not because he suddenly decided to feel something. It is because the space and separation forced him to confront the reality of his emotions. He has seen the world without you, and nothing compares to what he left behind. Distance has sharpened his perspective. He has been educated not by words, but by the emptiness left in his life and that emptiness speaks louder than any conversation ever could. It is crucial, however, to remember that this realization, while meaningful, is only the beginning. Just because a man understands his feelings after distance does not automatically make him ready to act wisely. He still has to prove that he can show up differently with intentionality and respect for your heart. Awareness is the first step, but action is what builds trust and restores connection. His feelings are a reflection of growth, and growth is something that must be demonstrated over time, not just announced. Distance can awaken emotions that were always there, but it also tests the maturity and clarity of a person. When a man finally understands what he feels after time apart, it is a moment of truth, a chance to act, to confess, and to show that he has learned from the absence that clarified his heart. That is the power of distance. It strips away comfort, leaves only honesty, and forces a person to see what truly matters. When a man comes back to confess his feelings, it can feel like the universe is finally making sense. You might hear the words you've been waiting for, the admission that he truly cares, the acknowledgement of what he left behind. But it is important to understand that a confession, as powerful as it may feel, does not automatically mean he is ready to love you the way you deserve. Words are a reflection of thought, not always of action. A confession is often the result of reflection. It shows that he has spent time thinking about what happened, considering his mistakes, and finally admitting his emotions, but it does not always guarantee that he has the capacity or the readiness to act differently. Many people can feel deeply, but the depth of feeling alone is not enough to sustain a healthy relationship. Reflection is an important step. It requires honesty with oneself, a willingness to face uncomfortable truths, and the ability to acknowledge the consequences of past actions. When a man confesses, he has likely been through a process of self-examination. He may have asked himself why he pulled away, why he didn't express what he felt sooner, or why he allowed fear, pride, or insecurity to dictate his choices. This kind of reflection can lead to clarity, insight, and a better understanding of what he truly wants and values. But even with this awareness, readiness is a different matter. Reflection is the internal process, readiness is external. Reflection prepares the mind, but readiness prepares the heart and the actions that follow. A man can understand intellectually that he loves you, but he may still struggle to demonstrate that love consistently in a way that respects your needs and boundaries. Many times, people confuse the confession of feelings with preparedness. Hearing the words, "I love you" or "I was wrong" can make it easy to assume that everything is fixed, that the past mistakes no longer matter, or that commitment will automatically follow. But feelings alone do not erase patterns of behavior. Someone can be emotionally moved, regretful, and aware of their errors, yet still lack the discipline, emotional intelligence, or maturity to maintain a healthy connection. Readiness requires more than an apology or an emotional admission. It demands tangible changes, consistent effort, and accountability for past behavior. Without these, a confession is like a spark in the dark. It catches your attention, but it may not ignite the fire that sustains a long-term relationship. This is why, when a man confesses after leaving or staying silent, you have to listen carefully, not just to what he says, but to what he demonstrates. Reflection is encouraging, but readiness is observable. Has he learned from the mistakes that cause distance? Does he respect your boundaries and time, or is the confession primarily self-serving, seeking validation or relief from guilt? Does he show through actions that he can handle intimacy, vulnerability, and honesty consistently? These are the questions that reveal true readiness. A confession is only the first step in a journey. It must be followed by accountability, responsibility, and a demonstrated willingness to do things differently. It is also important to understand that emotional timing varies from person to person. Someone may need more time to process, to grow, or to overcome internal obstacles before they can be ready to truly commit. That is not a reflection of your value or worth, but of the personal growth required for them to step into a mature, healthy relationship. Patience, discernment, and observation are essential in these moments. Confession is an expression of feeling. Reflection is the internal acknowledgement of that feeling. But readiness is the ability to act on it constructively and sustainably. Without readiness, the confession is incomplete. It is merely an invitation, not a guarantee. It is easy to be swept away by words. Words are powerful. They can move us, inspire us, and make us feel seen in ways nothing else can. When someone confesses their feelings, when they speak from the heart and tell us how much we mean to them, it stirs something deep inside us. Words can comfort, excite, and reassure. They can make us believe that someone has changed, that they finally understand what we need, or that the love we've been waiting for is finally here. But words alone are only part of the equation. They express emotion, they reveal thought, and they communicate desire, but they cannot, on their own, guarantee that those emotions will be carried out consistently in action. Without action, words are like promises written on water, beautiful to see, fleeting, and impossible to hold. When a man expresses his feelings verbally, it tells you that he recognizes the importance of what he has done or what he feels. It is a sign of reflection, self-awareness, and often remorse. He may confess his love, apologize for past mistakes, or explain why he acted the way he did. These are meaningful gestures, but they are only the first step. Words are the opening. Actions are the proof. Someone can speak beautifully, but if their behavior does not match their declarations, the words lose their meaning. Actions reveal intention. They demonstrate whether what a person says is aligned with who they are and how they operate in reality. Words can be heartfelt, but without consistent effort, they remain abstract. Actions are concrete. They show commitment, reliability, and respect for the other person's time, feelings, and boundary. When a man confesses that he loves you or wants a second chance, watch how he follows through. Does he make an effort to communicate consistently? Does he show up when it matters most? Does he respect your needs, space, and expectations? These behaviors are far more telling than a confession alone. Actions are the ultimate test of sincerity because they require discipline, sacrifice, and accountability. A man cannot fake action over time. Eventually, his true intentions will be revealed by what he does consistently. The difference between words and actions becomes even more significant after a period of absence or distance. When a person has had time to reflect and recognizes their feelings, it is natural for them to express those emotions verbally, but expressing them is not enough. Real change must be observable. You should see an effort to correct past mistakes, an understanding of what went wrong, and a willingness to act differently moving forward. Without this, words can become a tool of manipulation, a way to elicit forgiveness or attention without any real intention to honor the other person's heart. Words may make you feel good temporarily, but actions create lasting trust and security. It is also important to recognize that actions require consistency, not just occasional gestures. One kind act or one heartfelt confession does not prove intention, it merely suggests it. True intention is revealed in repeated choices, in the way someone prioritizes your feelings alongside their own, and in the way they show up even when it is inconvenient or challenging. Words can be impulsive, actions require effort. Words can be influenced by emotion, actions require accountability. Words may express hope or desire, actions deliver reality. Understanding this distinction is empowering because it allows you to observe rather than assume. You can feel reassured by words, but you can trust only what is proven through behavior. When a man says he feels something, it is a signal, not a guarantee. When he acts consistently on those words, it is evidence of genuine intention. The combination of words and actions, aligned over time, is the true measure of sincerity, commitment, and respect. Anything less should be approached with caution because only through actions do feelings transform into reality. When a man misses you, it can feel like the world is finally aligning, like the universe is giving you a sign that he realizes your worth. The messages, the calls, the confessions of longing can be intoxicating, and it's easy to allow your heart to leap with hope. But missing someone is not the same as being ready to give them what they truly deserve. Absence can create longing, but longing alone does not erase past mistakes, change old patterns, or automatically build the maturity necessary for a healthy, loving relationship. Just because someone feels your absence does not mean they are ready to step back into your life with the respect, consistency, and intention you require. It's vital to distinguish between the emotional experience of missing you and the actual readiness to love and commit in a way that honors your heart. Missing someone is natural. Human emotions are deeply connected to attachment, memories, and the comfort of what we once had. When a person looks back and sees the void you leave, they recognize the impact you had on their life, the joy you brought, and the stability or love they took for granted. That recognition can bring clarity, and sometimes it motivates people to reflect on their actions, to realize the mistakes they made, and to consider how life would feel without you permanently gone. But it is important to remember that this reflection, although meaningful, is still largely self-focused. The act of missing someone often centers on the void they feel inside themselves, not necessarily on the needs, boundaries, or well-being of the person they left. A man can feel incomplete without you, but that incompleteness alone does not mean he is equipped to treat you better than he did before. When someone comes back after realizing they miss you, it is a moment that requires discernment. You must ask yourself whether the absence has actually taught them growth or simply stirred emotion. Has the time apart allowed them to understand your value in a way that translates into consistent action, respect, and emotional maturity? Or is it simply nostalgia, a longing for comfort, or the fear of losing what they can no longer take for granted? Longing does not equate to readiness. Missing someone can motivate words and gestures, but it cannot force personal growth or commitment. The person must demonstrate change, not just desire. It is also important to recognize the difference between missing someone and loving someone responsibly. Missing you is passive. It is an emotional experience that happens because of what is no longer present. Loving you responsibly is active. It requires showing up consistently, prioritizing your needs, and proving through action that they can honor and protect the relationship. A man can miss you deeply, but if he cannot translate that longing into behavior that shows he respects and values your heart, he has not earned the right to return. You are not a prize to be retrieved simply because someone feels emptiness in their life. Your presence is precious, and it should be met with intentionality, consistency, and growth, not mere nostalgia. The truth is that longing can sometimes cloud judgment. It can make apologies sound sweeter, confessions feel more urgent, and promises appear sincere. That is why it is crucial to observe carefully. Look at patterns, not just emotions. Consider whether the absence has created real change or just emotional turbulence. Understand that your worth is not determined by how much someone misses you, but by how much they are willing to invest in you moving forward. Missing you may open the door for conversation, but it does not automatically qualify someone to walk back into your life. The readiness to honor your heart, to act consistently, and to prioritize your well-being is earned, not assumed. When a man realizes he misses you, it is a moment of awareness, but it is only meaningful if it is followed by sustained, intentional action. Your heart is not a placeholder for someone else's regrets. It is a sanctuary that deserves protection, care, and respect. Just because he misses you does not mean he deserves you. Deserving you requires more than feelings. It requires accountability, growth, and consistent proof that he has learned from the absence and can now show up differently. Saying "I'm sorry" is easy. Speaking words of regret can feel satisfying in the moment, both for the person apologizing and the person receiving the apology. It gives the illusion of reconciliation. the sense that a mistake has been acknowledged, and the hope that everything can return to how it was. But words, no matter how heartfelt, are only the beginning. They are empty without action to support them. A true apology is not measured by how eloquently someone expresses remorse, but by how much they are willing to change their behavior going forward. Change is the only real evidence that someone has understood the impact of their actions and is committed to doing better. Without it, apologies are simply words that fade into the background, leaving the pain and patterns intact. When a man comes back to confess his feelings or to make amends, he might say all the right things. He might tell you how sorry he is, how much he regrets hurting you, and how he wishes he could undo the past. But the truth is, words can be cheap. They can sound convincing and even make you hope, but unless they are followed by consistent action, they do not repair the damage done. Change is what transforms regret into sincerity. It demonstrates that the person has reflected deeply, recognized their mistakes, and is willing to put effort into correcting them. When behavior changes, it shows that the apology was not just for comfort, for validation, or to ease guilt. It was genuine. Behavior is proof of intention. If someone truly understands the weight of their mistakes, they will act differently. They will avoid repeating the patterns that cause pain. They will communicate more clearly, respect boundaries, and take responsibility for their actions rather than offering excuses. They will show up reliably, consistently, and with a mindfulness that proves they have internalized the lessons of the past. Words without action may create hope, but action without words creates trust. A changed pattern of behavior communicates louder than the most heartfelt confession. It is the difference between saying I love you and showing love in ways that matter every single day. It is also important to understand that change is not a one-time event. A single gesture or moment of kindness does not erase past mistakes. True transformation is visible over time. It is measured by consistency, patience, and the willingness to handle challenges differently. A man who truly means what he says will demonstrate growth even when it is inconvenient, uncomfortable, or when no one is watching. This type of change cannot be faked because it requires effort, discipline, and a commitment to doing better even in moments of weakness or temptation. Actions rooted in change are reliable, predictable, and sustaining, unlike words alone, which can be fleeting and impulsive. When evaluating someone's apology, it is critical to observe what they are doing, not just what they are saying. Are their actions aligned with their words? Do they take responsibility for the harm caused? Do they demonstrate a willingness to grow emotionally and to prioritize your needs and feelings moving forward? Change is the measure of sincerity, and without it, the apology is incomplete. This is especially true in matters of the heart. Love requires trust, and trust is rebuilt through demonstrated growth, not verbal assurances. Ultimately, the only way to truly know that an apology is real is to see consistent behavioral change over time. Words can express intention, but actions prove it. If a man returns, confesses his feelings, and apologizes, the question you must ask is not whether he feels sorry, but whether he has allowed that sorrow to transform into meaningful action. Without changed behavior, an apology is nothing more than empty sentiment. With changed behavior, it becomes a foundation for trust, respect, and a renewed connection built on understanding, accountability, and genuine care.